Well, that reminds me of a story you told me about when you were playing with Joe Lovano, and he was playing such broad flurries you didn't know how to fit in with him.
Oh, yeah.
And you had said something like you just sat back and listened and created a soundtrack or just fit in.
It's not quite the story, but it's a good lesson. He used to, back in that day, play a ton. I mean, now everything he plays is just like you could write it down and put it in frame it in a gold, you know, like a diploma. I mean, it's just so classic whatever he plays. I don't mean old, I mean classic. You know, it's just write the essential stuff. But back then, he could just blow everybody away and go on and on and on. And I kept trying to comp, and it was hard to find a place to comp. So I just realized that I was preoccupied thinking about where to comp, that I would just look at him and focus on him so heavily and not even think of me, and with no intention of comping. And all of a sudden, my hand started to do that here and there. And by osmosis, wherever my hand dropped, happened to be a moment where he stopped. And it would spur him on to the next thing. So that's kind of a story of a different, you know, with a different message.
There's actually a video on YouTube of you and him playing Portrait of Jenny, where he's doing those flurries. And
well, that, you know, I can lay it down more because it was a ballad. But
yeah.
I would say in general, that story aside, I'm really on when the middle register sounds like French horns, the upper register sounds like flutes and violins, the middle register could sound like violas, the lower register sounds like basses and cellos. And I'm creating, in my mind, a soundtrack rather than just blowing on changes as a solo player. So again, the more I got in touch with that, the more I got in touch with my own style. So I can't say there are influences beyond the 70s, and those guys were the main influence. Then, of course, I went back and checked out Art Tatum, which I can't say I'm influenced, but I played stride piano for a very funny reason. It wasn't like I thought it was a hip thing to do. My father had one jazz artist that he liked, Fats Waller. So we had a number of Fats Waller records. So I thought the way he played jazz piano was like this, like that. And then he had a friend that played a very raw, he was not a pianist, he was also at the market. But he played piano and he had a kind of a slow way, but he also comped like stride. That's the way I thought you were supposed to play. So that's the way I learned how to play. And it was only until I got to junior high school and finally played with a bass player, and I'm doing that, and the bass player said, wait a minute, don't do that. You're getting in my way. You're supposed to just do this. That was the first I heard of it. I started playing stride. So I could feel an affinity for some of what Art Tatum was doing, but, you know, it's incomparable. So I can't say I'm influenced because I'm not good enough to be influenced by Art Tatum, frankly, you know, on that level of what, you know, of quality.